everyone. My name is Anthony Stewart. I'm one of the co-founders of Black Workers Matter. I also want to wish everybody a happy May Day.
Right.
Happy May Day.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about that in a minute. Black Workers Matters fight against discrimination in the TIF Industrial District. Here are some of the statistics that motivated us to organize Black Workers Matter in 2015. Did you know that 37% of black workers in Chicago area in a low wage, $12 an hour or less? Black employment average 12% for 50 years. This is in spite the fact that black college graduates rates has increased fourfold since 1970. Both these stats are from hashtag Black Workers Matter Study 2015. Did you know that 47% of black men ages 20 to 24 in Chicago have no work and is not in school? That's a study by UIC study in 2016. Only one in 16 workers in Chicago TIF districts are black. And that's a grassroots collaboration study, 2013. This discrimination that we fight is a system. It's not an accident. Black Workers Matter has fought the same system of discrimination with many other workplaces on the West Side, including Ferrero Pan Candy, Midwest Canvas, the Bimbo Bakery in Cicero, and Cosmo Beauty Supply. I apologize for that. Also, again, I apologize. We fight not only discrimination, but companies retaliating against workers for organizing against discrimination. I have a personal experience with this. I was fired Ferrero Candy for speaking up against wage theft by the temporary agency that I had worked for, which was illegal. Now about TIF. It is outrageous that we have to fight this type of discrimination in the TIF district. Black Workers Matter says TIF don't work if we don't work.
That's right. TIF don't work. TIF don't work if we don't work.
TIF don't work if we don't work. TIF don't work if we don't work.
It is outrageous that we are paying taxes and those taxes are being diverted from schools and parks on the promises of good jobs. When time and time again we found that we are shut out of the work and we are abused on the job by employees in these TIF districts. We say discrimination used to be free, now we gotta pay for it. We say, yeah, it ain't. It definitely ain't right. We say to the new mayor and council, clean up TIF or shut it down.
Shut it
Clean
down.
up TIF or shut it down. Clean up TIF or shut it down. One last thing. This is not a black, brown, or white thing. This is a green thing. Everybody needs to work. Everybody needs a job. And we all need money. And I want to thank y'all for your participation. But before I leave right now, I want to introduce you to Steve Robinson. He's going to talk a little bit more about the background of Coverhill, Arista, and Hostess. Steve?
All right.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that.
Not a problem.
Good morning, good afternoon. Steve Robinson, Executive Director of Northwest Austin Council, and also a proud member of Black Workers Matters.
Right.
I want to give you a little background about this bakery. For decades, this bakery was called Coverhill. It was a long history of segregation and discrimination, and for decades, it used temporary agencies to target immigrants and blacks and shut them out. This was bad for immigrants. They were isolated and abused. It was bad for blacks who were shut out from work. In 2013, Arista bought the bakery. It continues to make the Cloverhill muffins and danishes, and it continues discrimination. In 2017, an ICE audit forced the bakery to integrate. Blacks were hired, but the culture of racism continued. Last year, Hostess bought the bakery we, the community and workers, met with the church right down the street, and it was there we asked to ask Hostess to bring in EEOC to conduct an anti-racism training. They wouldn't commit, but they said they would be better. A year later, it's worse. And as you hear, we've got other plants in the neighborhood, such as Radio Flyer, M&M Mars, and we don't hear about this kind of thing. So it could be done. It could be definitely done.
Yes, it can.
A personal study, a personal story of mine. I had a Latino friend I went to school with, but was actually in management here. And he was here about 20 years. And I asked him, I said, do you guys do any hiring? And he literally said to me, we don't hire brothers here. And it kind of took me aback. He just flat out said that. And this was a friend of mine. So you can imagine what goes on. So this has been going on for a long time. It's deep rooted in this company. And are you listening? Hostess. It's going to take a deep commitment to change it. We can all again We call again on you to clean up your house and get rid of all the HR and managers who are perpetuating this racism, establish justice for all. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're down here from Kymani Hill. Welcome again, everyone. My name is Kymani Hill. I am a leader in Black Workers Matter. I work at both bakeries and the one in Cicero. Both this one and the one in Cicero. As Ashley mentioned, today is May Day, May 1st, International Workers' Day. Born right here in Chicago in 1886 when workers had a general strike for an 8-hour day. Today, the whole world in places like Africa, Egypt, Europe, Asia, and Canada, and Latin America celebrate the birth of modern labor movement. But May Day also remarks retaliation.
Yes.
In 1886, just like today, the bosses looked for an excuse to beat workers down at a rally at the Haymarket at Randolph and Des Plaines to protest police killing of workers. Someone, no one knows, who threw a bomb. It killed several policemen and uncounted citizens. The bosses bring the triumph of 8 labor organizers. There was no evidence. They were convicted based on their ideas alone, and 4 were eventually hung. Today, these murdered organizers are honored as the Haymarket heroes. Right. In the last year, Hostess managers, supervisors, and HR have conspired to try and punish workers for organizing against racial discrimination. Last summer, Hostess rehired an abusive line lead, Sean Leckie, who had been fired under previous owner Arista. For 2 months, with the support of Black Workers Matter, Hostess workers documented the abuse of the line lead in both English and Spanish. They filed a class action grievance and sent a complaint to Hostess Corporate in Kansas City. Almost immediately, the line lead was forced to quit. Right. But HR didn't like the workers acting powerful. They targeted one of the leaders, Willie Salinas, when Willie got the flu and missed work. He was fired on trumped-up records, despite the fact he had doctor's excuses. But this is not the end. Black Workers Matter and Willie will continue to fight for justice.
That's right.
They were led by Adekunle Cole. Let's hear from Adekunle.
Right.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Adekunle Cole. I worked here nearly 3 years under the Arista and Hostess. Most recently, I was the sanitation, then turned to a utility worker. I've been considered an excellent worker. Since I started, I witnessed all kinds of discrimination. For example, I had to speak up and speak out to get personal protective PPE equipment that would enable me to do certain jobs and pay that went with it. If you're black or not a favorite to the manager of HR, you don't get the same treatment. It's not what you know, it's who you know and who you are. So now we're in the damned if I do, damned if I don't situation. I speak to management, I tried to talk to HR. Not just for me, but for others. For example, all of us didn't get the training we needed. Nothing worked. So I complained to the EEOC, first against Arista, later against Hostess. I organized others to do so too. Our goal was to get the situation fixed. It was a risk, but so we did doing nothing. We was doing nothing. You could get fired for nothing anyway. In February, a group of sanitation got together to remove a bad supervisor. That supervisor was fired on February the 15th. On March the 27th, I went to HR about some points I was given for leaving early for a personal emergency. During this time, the HR specialist, Eric, accused me of threatening him. I was fired later. I was told that I was aggressive and a threat, and to other management was scared of me. Please understand, I have never been disciplined or even accused for anything like this. Now there are 2 black people that was in the room with us when I allegedly threatened Eric. Ishmael Hunt, that's the first shift sanitation supervisor, and Veronica Tucker, who was a union steward. Their testimonies was never presented. It's like they vanished out the picture. Did they refuse to lie? What does HR have? So now it's a cover-up. This is what the HR does, accuse black people of being angry and threatened. When we speak up, so this is Hostess, MO, playing the stereotype. But I'm not going away. Black Workers Matter is not going away. As long as they continue racism, the fight will continue. I'm not a threat. The truth is the threat. We have the right in equal treatment. We have the right to organize. We have the right not to be retaliated against. We will stand and fight, and we will win. Thank you.
All right, all right.
Now, as you heard, most recently, workers in sanitation united to stand up to unequal treatment. But on the same day that Adekunle was fired, Black Workers Matter leader Lynn Lane was given a final warning for supposedly not doing her job, despite the fact that Lynn has done her job for 3.5 years. Hostess sent 6 men, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, to confront Lynn in the public safety office. Hey Hostess, #me too. Bullying women is not okay.
That's right.
Also, right after Adekunle was fired, HR fired Akunle's friend, Nina Baker. Nina Baker is pregnant, which covers her doctor's appointment, so HR was forced to bring her back. Now for some good news. I myself was fired from organizing at the sister bakery, Bimbo in Cisco. Their excuse was that I dropped the candy wrapper on the floor in the bakery. Can you believe that? Well, the labor board didn't either. Recently, the labor board ruled that the bakery violated my rights to organize by firing me, so justice and truth can prevail.
Yes.
One last word on why this fight is important for black workers. Our ancestors were workers, of course. Unpaid workers, slaves. So we are suspicious of any attempt to treat any group differently than any other. be they black, be they white or brown, we understand targeting and we understand divide and conquer. We know we are all standing on the shoulders of all those who have fought for freedom before. And on this day, May Day, we pledge to them and to you, we are not going back. That's right. Thank you.
All right.
Nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. We ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching on the freedom way.
So part of what's happening, my name is Dan Gilloth. I'm the director of the coalition that supports Black Workers Matter. We have an attorney who is on his way. He'll be here in a couple minutes, who is going to announce some fresh legal charges against Hostess. We had filed charges against the previous ownership of RISDA. And this time, well, last August we were standing here announcing those charges, but we gave Hostess a little time to get it right because they had just recently bought the bakery. Unfortunately, they've proven that they're not only not better, but they appear to be worse. And so we're going to hear from that attorney when he arrives. But for right now, what we want to do is hear from another community leader about the impact of this discrimination on our community.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Peter Gunn. I'm a longtime Austin worker. I'm also a member of the Good Neighbor campaign. I'm proud to stand here today in solidarity with Black Workers Matter and tell all the workers at Hostess why this matters to me, to this community. Discrimination in hiring, discrimination on the job equals unemployment, mental health issues, poverty, evictions, crime, and small business failures. It is trauma. It's very destructive. So Hostess must be a good neighbor.
Good neighbor. That's what it's all about, the neighborhood.
It seems that whenever we call out anybody for racism or labor abuses, employers threaten to leave. Sometimes our elected officials get scared off. But we don't scare that easy.
That's right.
That's right.
For years, this bakery shut out black workers entirely. So we say to Hostess Human Services, Human Resources, you can't hurt us anymore, more than you already have. After all, this is a matter of dignity and respect. Look at any corner in Austin, we buy products. We buy Coverhill muffins and bear claws and danishes. We are your customers and your workers. In return, all we're asking for as people is equal treatment as the law mandates. And we will not trade our rights for jobs, as Jesse Jackson says. Even slaves had jobs.
Yes, they did.
On this May Day, we've come too far as the people to turn back.
That's right.
We say to Hostess Human Resources, we will stand up to your discrimination.
Right.
We will stand up to your retaliation.
Yes,
And we will win.
That's right.
We shall overcome.
That's right.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we've arrived at the same spot with Hostess where people are forced to take collective legal action. That's right. So I'm going to let Chris give you a little background in a legal way on what's going on and how this fits into that pattern.
All right, Chris.
All right, thank you. Well, as Dan mentioned, we have previously filed a class action lawsuit alleging discrimination and discriminatory practices by this plant with the previous owners, Arista. Our hope had been that the new owners would not be engaging in the same kind of conduct. Unfortunately, that hope has not been realized. And what we have seen is a pattern and practice of discrimination by Hostess in both terms of the treatment of African Americans. There have been collective charges filed with the Illinois Department of Human Rights alleging these violations in the EEOC. In addition, we see discrimination based on concerted and collective activity, rights that are protected by the National Labor Relations Act. And we are preparing charges to be filed with the National Labor Relations Board, alleging that people have been terminated by engaging in this kind of protected concerted activity. Thank you. That's the legal action we're taking, in addition to what you see here today as the rights of individual employees to engage in collective and concerted activity.
What is the status of the lawsuit? Has Hostess been named now instead of Arista?
Well, the original lawsuit filed only involved Arista. We have new charges. That's the first step of a discrimination claim, is to file charges. So we have new charges that are named Hostess specifically, in terms of how they have engaged in retaliatory and discriminatory activities.
When you say charges, what do you mean?
Charges with the Illinois Department of Human Rights and charges with the Equal Employment Opportunity.
And so what is the status of the lawsuit?
So the status of the lawsuit is we are currently engaged in discovery in terms of the number of assignments being made by various staffing agencies to this plant and the plant in Cicero that were both run by Arista. It's our allegation that they were using staffing agencies essentially to screen out African Americans, and as a result had, in fact, a very workforce that was dominated by non-African Americans.
Right. And how does that lawsuit play out since they aren't the owners anymore?
Well, they are still liable. Arista is liable for its conduct, and obviously Arista is an ongoing concern, and so they have lawyers who are representing them, and that will play out in court, and we believe we have a very strong case. They, of course, they do deny the allegations and claim that we're not engaging in discriminatory conduct. I think the evidence that comes out, the record will show that for a significant period of time, this was almost an exclusively non-African American workforce, representing a really ongoing pattern of practice of discrimination.
And do you think Hostess is doing the same thing? Are they still using temp agencies?
They are. I think that part of the problem is discrimination begets discrimination. In other words, you create a culture of discrimination. The managers, supervisors sort of adopt that practice. They get comfortable working with a discriminatory culture in the workplace. And so when you try to change the operation by filing a discrimination lawsuit for essentially forcing these companies to hire based on without consideration of race and based on what the population of people looking for work is, then you have something of a culture clash. And if you recall, our lawsuit filed against Arista attached a study that had been done, or a productivity consultant who was working at Arista at the time when there was a change in the workforce. And that productivity consultant, Clean Concepts, identified the change of culture as a factor that was undercutting the operations of the plant. And so, unfortunately, I think Hostess has not done the necessary work to train its supervisors, to train its workforce, to bring in more African American supervisors and human resources personnel to accommodate and adapt to the situation inside the plant. And so we see, while it's a different owner, we see the same pattern.
That's right.
There you go.
Is it the temp agency also? Is that still an issue?
There is still that issue. But I will say, while there are more African American employees, the way the African American employees are treated is not fair.
Unfair.
I'm wondering if someone can talk about what that discrimination is. I know we heard from someone who was fired, but what are some of the large-scale systemic issues that are ongoing?
One is a point system that they got that you could be on vacation, number one, and get a point and you're on vacation, something that should be easy to find out that you're on vacation. get a call and now you're terminated. Then you have to file some type of grievance to get back your job. So that's one of the things. And the next thing is the training. You don't get trained, you get put into a job, but you don't get trained to do the job. So it's like a process of elimination. You give me the job only to say you gave it to me, but you don't train me so I can keep it.
And you feel like that's happening to black workers?
Oh, I know it.
Is it, but only black workers it's happening to?
Well, I can't say is it only black. I can just speak for what I've seen.
But they have retaliated against a Hispanic worker named Willie, who was doing his job, and he spoke up, and they retaliated against him and let him go. So it's not just black. Again, I say it's not a black, white, or brown thing. It's a green thing. So they have let go Latino, blacks, just because they spoke up, because they fighting back, because they want fairness and justice and equality for everybody. So they let go Hispanic as well as black. And unfortunately, Willie's not here today to speak up on his behalf, but we have several letters that we can show you and give you for documentation if you need.
Can you speak to the racial makeup of the management staff at the line level? The line managers. General Big?
So I think Adekunle can confirm that HR here, human resources, is a huge problem, that this culture of discrimination exists not only on the plant floor, but it exists also within the human resources department. The human resources department has a unholy alliance with some of the plant managers, and the human resources department is dominated by folks who are Latino in background, and some of whom were part of the legacy of management that continues from Coverhill through Arizda and now to Hostess. So what Chris was saying is entirely true. You can change the ownership. You can even integrate the workforce. As Steve said, Steve Robinson, unless you make a commitment to completely change the institutional racism. And what we want, one of our main demands as a coalition in support of Black Workers Matter, and one of Black Workers Matter's main demands is that they conduct an EEOC-run anti-racism training from top to bottom.
Yes.
As you know, EEOC is an educator as well as a litigator, and so this is the community trusted party. We don't trust them to get their own consultant to do that, because that consultant is captured by the management because they work for the management. So we want a trusted government agency to retrain this management to understand the law and understand the penalties, and to hold them accountable if they don't get it right. So that's one of our main demands.
Weed off.
Chris, have those charges been filed with the state yet?
There have been charges filed, but we're preparing more charges to be filed.
We're happy to answer other questions. What we want to do before people have to go is to contact management here and put forth our demand that they reinstate Adekunle immediately. So if they delegate.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
We want to talk to who's ever in charge of HR today.
I think you may have Matt's Hall telephone number.
Yeah, can we speak with you?
You're
Mr. Arnold from Indianapolis, is that correct?
That's correct.
Could you step outside for a minute? We just want to talk to you for a minute.
I'm going to give you Matt's number so he can give you information, because I don't have the information you need. He has more information than I can provide you.
Okay, well, we're happy to contact Matt, but since you're here today and you're working with Human Resources, we're here to protest what we believe is the unjust firing of Adekunle Cole, who worked in sanitation here for 3 years.
Okay.
And he was fired he was told that he was a threat during a Human Resources meeting and fired immediately. He'd never before been accused, or no one had ever disciplined him for being a threat or a terror. What were some other words they used? For being aggressive and so on. So we find this completely unjust and part of a pattern of discrimination and retaliation ongoing here at the Hostess plant. And frankly, it seems to be a legacy from Coverhill. So we're asking you today to reinstate Adekunle Cole and to make him whole. He violated his rights to organize, he violated his rights to equal treatment, and quite frankly, we believe that you've assassinated his character by putting all these aspersions on his behavior. So can you commit to that today?
I appreciate you sharing your information. please get a hold of Matt Hall, and he will get a hold of me to let me know next steps.
And you know, Arnold, that's not quite good enough. What we really want you to do is just
Here, please understand, hold on. You have certain steps that you take, correct? To do certain things. So do I.
Right.
So what I'm indicating to you is please get a hold of Matt Hall.
You know what, sir, with all due respect, and understand your procedures, part of our procedure is when somebody has been done an injustice which is affecting their life right now.
Right now.
I hear what you're saying.
I
hear what you're saying.
What we want you to do is to take Adekunle back.
I hear what you're saying, but please understand, the person that you need to talk to is Matt Hall.
Pass the buck.
Because what it is he's the one that will make the decision, not me. So that's why I'm telling you, he makes the decision.
Will Hostess commit to an EEOC-run anti-racism training?
First of all,
will you deliver that message?
What I'm delivering to you is get a hold of Matt Hall, and he will give you what information you need.
But would you pass on the message like he asked? Would you pass it on to Matt Hall?
Can you stay here for a moment while we contact Matt Hall? Because
Right.
we want you
We
to
really
come to
appreciate it.
this conversation.
So is Matt Hall in?
He's going to contact me.
Is he in the building? Is he on the premises?
No, he's not here.
Okay.
Is he in the state?
Yeah, he on the state.
Understand that EEOC-run training would benefit everyone.
That's right.
So they
That's
say.
right.
Allegedly.
I'm not disagreeing with anything you're saying. What I'm telling you is Matt Hall makes the decision. I'm not the boss.
Right.
He's my boss. So you understand where I'm going with that.
Right. We ask you to communicate very clearly to him that we want Adekunle reinstated. We want you to take Adekunle back.
Yes.
Take him back.
Take him back. Take him back. Take him back. Take him back. Take him back.
Put it on speakers. Let me get all this stuff.
Whole world is watching on YouTube right now. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. This is your brand, Hostess. This is your brand. The whole world is watching.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm not privy to what took place.
Matt Hall. How you doing, Matt Hall? This is Anthony Stewart, one of the co-founders of Black Workers Matter. We need to talk to you today. Can you please come downstairs so we can give you some information and talk to you, please, sir? You are in Georgia. Okay. What about Adekunle, the young man that y'all laid off unfairly? We would like for you to reinstate him. Would that be possible? Arnold Brown is down here right now, and all he's telling us is to talk to you. So y'all just gonna keep passing the buck back and forth? What is this, ping pong? We want some type of understanding, some type of fairness, some type of, happy medium. Can you at least give us that?
Take him back.
Take him back. Take him back. Take him back.
So he went through y'all's system of torturing and assassinating his character. Is that what you're saying? Oh, when can we meet with you to criticize you more? I really appreciate that. We would absolutely do that. Thank you. Take him back.
Take him back. Take him back. Take him back. Take him back.
The 100-year anniversary.
Who has a card?
We'll take care of that in a minute, okay?
I'm sorry, guys. I have to go.
Could you take back the Twinkies?
We don't want the Twinkies.
Put it right here.
We don't want the Twinkies.
Put it right here.
All right?
And believe me, the rest of the communities won't take it either. 100 years old of BS.
I shut the door because we have to let their door go.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Let's drop the Twinkies. We're doing a visual here, right? Drop the Twinkies.
We don't want their product is tainted with racism and discrimination. That's right, brother. Unfair justice. And if you eat one, you become the same.
All right, we need a boycott. Sorry,
Bad Twinkies. Everybody eat. And you know what? When you let people off, it's a systematic pattern. When they'll stand for people, what do we want? Jobs back. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Jobs back. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Jobs back. When do we want
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
I would like to thank everybody for coming.
Thank you.
We will unite and we will continue to fight until we get justice for Adekunle.
Yes,
Amen.
yes.
That's right. And remember, we ain't gonna let nobody, no one, not even the weather, turn us around.
Exactly.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.